Hello, everyone. My name is Alan Quayle. I'm the founder of TADSummit, and I'm giving a presentation on the open source telecom software survey that took place this year. Now, I'd first of all like to thank our sponsors for TADSummit EMEA Americas for making this event possible. That is Automart Berlin, Radisys, GoContact, and Sangoma. Unfortunately, my picture-in-picture means my face is blocking them out, but you'll see them enough times across all the TADSummit content. So let's get down to this open source telecom software ecosystem. And I always kick off with this slide, just to show some, not all of the projects that are out there. There are more to be added, and I will be adding them very soon. And this is a very active ecosystem where many projects collaborate. We have, of course, at the bottom here, Asterix, OpenSIPs, Camailio, FreeSwitch, RESTCOM, WebRTC, Dratio. They're sort of like the building blocks, the Telecom App Servers, or the SIP routers, and then lots of other projects that sit on that add value, that make it as easy as possible for people to create and solve problems using open source telecom software. Now, the Telecom App Server, it's very analogous to a web server. Now, a web server, you've got a client, the browser, talks to a web server out on the internet, and that aggregates all the data and services so that you get a rich, wonderful experience on a website. And 80% of web servers are open source, generally using Apache and Nginx. And that's very analogous to what we're talking about with telecom app servers, where there's a client. It could be anything, it could be a phone, it could be a browser, it could be a specialist app, talks to a telecom app server, and that goes out and deals with all the weird and wonderful telecom protocols and networks and all the services that are out there, not just on the public switch telephone network, but the internet at large. So it's very analogous. And the role of open source is equally analogous for the telecom app server. And just to show how this all fits together, we've got the telcos and the internet at the bottom. We have aggregation, so you aggregate all the different operators, all the different sort of siloed communication systems that exist out there. You've got your session border controller and firewall for talking out on the wild west of the internet. And then you have the telecom app servers. So, that's the Asterix, FreeSwitch, etc. And they provide a whole range of basic features around voice, messaging, but so much more than that. And we've got video in there, rich communication service, IoT, mobile money, you name it. The list goes on. Of course, phone numbers as well. You've got the SIP application server for SIP-based communications, and the WebRTC application server gateway for all the stuff out there using WebRTC. And sat above that, a whole range of value-added services. So bots, speech recognition, device management, media server, media forking, two-factor authentication, push-to-talk, omni-channel, you name it. There's a whole range of value-added services that can run across those telecom app servers. Then you have API management, because all this can be exposed through an API. And then some of the more human-readable interfaces, such as Twilio Flex, which is a contact center as a service, unified communication as a service, authentication, account security, all that good stuff. And again, they could equally be exposed via a machine-readable interface, that's an API, or a human-readable interface, that is some customer experience. And of course, there's lots of common functions as well. I just state it because it is important to realize that management console, provisioning, billing, usage, account management, all that good stuff needs to be in there as well. That shows you how it all fits together in what we sort of term CX tech or programmable communications. Now, being in open source telecom is hard. When we look out on the web, in the enterprise open source communities, they get a lot more support from their incumbent, their legacy vendors. While here in the telecoms, we've got a $2 trillion market, and it's sort of ignored generally by the telcos and their strategic vendors. So it is tough to be on an open source telecom project. There's no two ways about it. Now, I'm going to be reviewing two surveys, one from last year, which was a broad review of most open source projects and common deployment issues. There's a link there to the results that were presented. And I'm also going to be presenting in this presentation the 2020 survey, which is more focused on filling the gaps, particularly around geography, contributions to projects, a deeper dive into hosting, redundancy, plus some of the missing projects. And we've got even more missing projects that we need to add, but we're never going to catch up because there's always new projects. But we did add in Dratio, ASTPP, RTP engine, and several others. Again, that link shows you the requests for response to the survey. And we'll do at the end of the year a more detailed review of the results. So let me just go quick recapitulation of what we covered in the 2019 survey. So we had nearly 100 responses, and this was looking at which open source project do you use. So we had 71 responses on Asterisk, 39 on FreeSwitch, 41 on Kamailio, 51 on OpenSIPs, and just a couple for RESTCOM MobiSense. That's because it's open source project. They never die. The code is still there, but it's no longer supported and maintained by Telestacks. So that's the reason that we saw the low numbers there. And we asked a whole range of questions. For example, does the developer community make itself accessible? Is it closed? Is it open? You can see there, Asterisk and FreeSwitch are relatively open. Kamailio and OpenSIPs, of course, do very well. I mean, they're great templates for open source community success and engaging your community. Also, how easy is it to engage with the community on features or functions that are important to you? So again, looking at in terms of, is it easy or hard? And you can see again a broad range. It's I mean, we're just presenting the results as we get them. As you can see again, Kamailio and OpenSIPs were doing very well in being easy to engage with. Other one is looking at how easy is it to hire knowledgeable consultants. There you can see a broader spread, and we've broken this down in the 2020 survey, examining on a regional basis what are the difficulties. And there are a few takeaways from the work that we did. Configuration management, scripting, it's Ansible. And really, and I do make this more stronger now. Each project should be sharing its popular scripts to make it as easy as possible for not the hardcore open source community, but those on the fringes, those maybe more web-centric that are coming in and experimenting because they've heard about this through one source or another, making it easy for them to get stuff up and running. I think there's a lot of work we can do to improve that, to expand the community of people using open source telecom software. Native cloud was not a popular choice. We're going to see some of the results for this year. I think we're starting to see a shift. We also, because of TADSummit EMEA Americas last year, we had quite a few fintech people presenting, and they were sort of laughing at the telecoms people in the room about their lack of adoption of serverless. So that was a theme that we brought out in the 2020 survey to try and understand, what is the real situation? What are we thinking about? What are the issues? And also in TADSummit EMEA Americas this year, we've got a panel discussion that will be discussing this in much more depth. Geography, again, 2020 survey has spent a lot more time looking at the geographical issues. Some in Europe were surprised by the size of the Asterisk response. Again, we've got that all broken down now to see how the different projects are used and the issues across the different regions. So geography has been something for this year. We've spent a lot more time, and absolutely, I mean, you'll see in my conclusions, we're only in the beginning of this game that is open source telecom software. We've got a long way to go, and there's a lot we can do to improve engaging broader community of developers. So that's my piece on the introduction and what we did in 2019.